Everyone tells you that you should not be trading when inflation data comes out, but I just went ahead and did the exact opposite and made $2,000 in a matter of minutes. In today's video, we'll be going over the exact inflation data that just came out, which, spoiler alert, is very positive, and we'll be going over the most recent Bitcoin price action and what you should be paying attention to as it pertains to trading. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So as I just shared in my Telegram group, you can see down below that I just cashed in around $2,000 by trading right after we got the positive inflation data. And why did I enter this trade? Let me just show you. As we can see here, every single time that we have positive CPI or at least neutral CPI, that is when Bitcoin starts to pump for at least 6 to 12 days, according to this chart over here. We can see that since November, there's an 86% probability, 6 out of 7 cases to be exact, that Bitcoin moves by 10% or more within 6 to 12 days after the CPI release, based on the recent CPI data shown in the chart. And as we can see, it doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin will just continue to fly up past those days, but it does mean that it could provide excellent short-term trades. Now, what was the inflation data? April CPI inflation falls to 2.3%, which is below the expectations of 2.4%. Core CPI inflation was 2.8%, which was in line exactly with the expectations of 2.8%. This actually marks the third straight monthly decline in headline inflation. Inflation continues to cool despite the trade war, which is actually a surprise because I know a lot of traders that were expecting the inflation data to come in hotter than expected. This clearly wasn't the case. Before I get into the more medium-term Bitcoin chart, if you want to trade with me, make sure you click the first link in my description down below. I have a new exchange to share with you all, and it's a pretty epic one. You can get up to $10,000 in bonus rewards if you sign up with the first link in my description down below. This exchange is actually called BTCC, and you might be asking, why do I like this exchange? Well, they actually have tokenized stocks. Yes, you heard that right. Let me just show you quickly exactly what I mean. If we go here to the chart, you can see that I'm in an active trade right now. On my top bar here, you can see stock options to trade with leverage. Apple, then we have Amazon, we have Coinbase, which just got listed on the S&P 500. We have Google. We also have Meta. We also have MicroStrategy. So yes, you can actually trade these stocks with leverage on BTCC along with all of the other cryptocurrencies that you're used to trading. It's the first link in my description down below. I would highly recommend this exchange. I've been testing it out for months before I went ahead and shared it with you. Just know that I started to trade a lot on this platform. I'm really enjoying it. So let's go to the Bitcoin chart. What we can see here is that we're still approaching this very, very important level. We still have not confirmed above the previous high around 106K on the daily time frame. Keep your eyes on this level. If you're a spot holder or a more medium-term trader, this is the key level that you want to look at. Nothing has changed. Yes, we did get a little bit of a pullback as we discussed in yesterday's video, which we talked about potentially being the local top. Now, I'm not quite sure if this is the end of that dip, because we can see that yesterday we wicked below $101,000 from the high all the way up to just below 106K. Now, there is a chance, of course, that we can break below this level and come back to the previous breakdown zone, which we discussed on the channel at length, to hold it as support and then try and break above 106K. But as it stands right now, looking at this candle, it looks like we're holding this previous area of support that was held at the end of January. Right now, we got a wick below the level, and currently the daily candle is green within this level. So if you're trading this price action, make sure that you keep on monitoring these zones, because this will likely tell us whether or not we will come back down and retest the breakdown region, or if this is just a little bit of a cool off for Bitcoin to go ahead and try to make that attempt of a daily close above $106,000. And the next thing that I'm sure you probably want to know about is Bitcoin dominance. Everyone is talking about this crazy altcoin season that we will get when Bitcoin dominance dumps from the top of this range. But the key thing here is that everyone was talking about altcoin season right around these levels, and I was not convinced. And as we can see, this was a fake out. Because monetary policy is the same, meaning we are still in quantitative tightening. Despite the positive inflation data and all of the rest, I don't think that we're yet to enter another altcoin season quite yet. The time will come, as I've been saying on the channel, but I still think that there's some fuel for Bitcoin dominance to potentially go as high as 66%. And if we go ahead and hold that level as support, we could potentially find our way into the 70s. That's probably not what you want to hear, but I'm just telling you what I think is a possibility. Now, if we take a look at the stock market, this is extremely positive. We are now above the 200-day moving average. So if we come here and hold this level as support, it's very likely that stocks will go ahead and put in an all-time high. Because if you remember correctly on the channel, what I was looking at was the previous scenario all the way back here in 2022 going into 2023. We pumped above the 200-day moving average, it acted as resistance, and then we came crashing right back down and set new lows for the stock market. That was my main concern, but right now, if we continue to get closes above the 200-day moving average, you can bet your bottom that we will 100% be making a new all-time high for stocks. And of course, that would be super positive for Bitcoin. But if we start to struggle around this area, we may see a much bigger drawdown if the 200-day moving average continues to act as resistance. But so far, so good. There's no reason to be bearish here unless we get some crazy surprises in the near term. And of course, with the stock market pumping, there's some exciting news. $2.2 trillion were added to the US stock market yesterday alone. Everything has been pumping. And it's very interesting to see that Bitcoin was the one that got rejected yesterday. But if you'll remember correctly, Bitcoin has actually been outperforming stocks. And so it did make sense that Bitcoin was going to cool down just a little bit. Right now for Bitcoin, it's not looking too shabby since we got yesterday's correction because we are holding in this support zone. I hope that we can hold here, but you know my base case if we end up breaking out of this box, and that would be to come back down and test the previous breakdown region, which so happens to be the previous consolidation region before we went ahead and pumped all the way up to above 105K. Keep your eyes on these levels. The recent talks have also been recession probabilities now decreasing. You'll remember everyone was freaking out about a potential recession. I even covered it on the channel talking about these huge asset managers saying that we're going to have a recession and that it's imminent. Well, Goldman Sachs reduced their US recession odds to 35%, and they're not the only ones. JP Morgan says a US recession risk is now below 50%. They were previously well above that 50% mark. And we also have Barclays that came out and they said they do not expect the US to fall into a recession in the second half of the year 2025 versus the prior forecast of a mild recession. And if we look at the betting markets, because as you know, you have to put your money where your mouth is. Right now, there's only a 41% chance of us having a recession, down from the high on May 1st of around 70%. So we really did drop drastically, and it's crazy to see how fast things can change. Now, if we take a look at the Bitcoin spot ETFs, what you'll notice is that yesterday, of course, in the Bitcoin downtrend, we did not get a ton of spot buys, only $5.2 million worth of inflows. And of course, BlackRock, as they normally are, the ones that are accumulating aggressively, while the rest of the Bitcoin spot ETFs saw significant outflows. And the last two things that I want to share with you in today's very quick update is Google search terms for Ethereum misspelt are spiking, signaling retail investors are flooding back into the market. It's pretty funny to see that these are the kind of people that you're currently going to be trading against as retail continues to hopefully enter in the market. That being said, we have covered the retail interest in my previous videos, and despite the fact that we did get this little pump, retail is still far from here compared to the levels that we saw in previous cycles. The last thing that I want to show you, the NASDAQ-listed GD Culture Group secured a $300 million funding commitment to establish a crypto reserve of Bitcoin and Trump. We know that we have Trump's dinner coming up, and let me just show you on CoinMarketCap how the performance of the Trump token is doing, and we can see it's pretty poor. I mean, I'm not sure what else I can tell you because they have just been dumping this token on everyone. And it would not surprise me that as these Trump events continue to unfold, we get weaker and weaker pumps, and the Trump token will likely find its way back below $10. Now, this isn't a call to just short this token immediately, but what I am saying is that this token will likely continue to dump much lower from the current price levels. And that sums up today's quick video. We had pretty favorable inflation data that just came out, and Bitcoin is currently holding pretty steady. Now, if we lose the current support level that we've held as support since yesterday into today, it's likely that we go back lower and retest the breakdown region, but that would be a perfectly healthy correction. In the meantime, I showed you today's very short-term trade, which netted us $2,000 in profit. Again, if you want to trade on that exchange, it's the first link in my description down below, BTCC, one of the more solid exchanges. And as I said earlier in the video, I've been using them for months now without sharing anything with you on the channel because I know that a lot of you were asking me for alternative exchanges. On that platform, you can also, of course, trade tokenized stocks, which not many crypto exchanges, if any at all, give you that opportunity. If you enjoyed this quick update, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video as the Bitcoin price action hopefully develops further.